best team of all. Everybody knows us, we call Millwall. Let 'em come, let 'em come, let 'em come. Let 'em all come down to the dance. It's Saturday, football lane, we've all come down to cheer. We've had our jelly deals and our glass of beer. Come rain or shine, all the time our families will bring. Let's run up the pitch, everyone will sing. Let 'em come, let 'em come. Let 'em all come down to the down. Let 'em come, let 'em come, let 'em come. We'll only have to beat 'em again. It's the best team in London, no, the best team of all. Everybody knows us, we're called Millwall. Let 'em come, let 'em come, let 'em come. Let 'em all come down to the dance. It's Saturday, football lane, we've all come down to cheer. We've had our jelly deals and our glass of beer. Come rain or shine, all the time our families will bring. And as the lions run up the pitch, everyone will sing. Let 'em come, let 'em come, let 'em come. Let 'em all come down to the den. Let 'em come, let 'em come, let 'em come. We'll only have to beat 'em again. It's the best team in London, no, the best team of all. Everybody knows us, we're called Millwall. Let 'em come, let 'em come, let 'em come. Let 'em all come down to the den. Let 'em all come down to the den.
Bosh. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the Den Debate. Oh, wait on, turn the microphone around. That might help. There we go. It's been 2 months, boys, since we've done a lot. Fucking 2 months. So much regular this season. But yeah, I'm trying to think of an excuse then, but I couldn't really think of one. Pete, Kenny, how are we, boys?
All good, Dan.
Good. I'm going to start the show with some sad news. The passing of John Docherty today, 84 years old. The first and only man to ever reach us, take us, lead us to the top flight of English football. Oh, another one. Another good man gone. Loads of people I care about dying recently. I suppose that comes of age. But I remember John Docherty. My dad first took me when I was 5 again, which obviously hit me hard again today. And I sort of remember parts of that. But what I really remember is the first big memories of me always us getting promoted to the top 5 English football. And at 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, I just thought, that happens every week. But yeah, sad day for the club. Pete, you would have remembered him well.
Yeah, I remember him very well, Dan. I remember the promotion day away at Hull, the last game of the season, where we had to win to sort of secure promotion. Yeah, never forget that moment, never forget that day. Thousands at Millwall there. I think, must have been about 10,000, I think, there that day. It was just absolutely... I remember 2 limousines in the car park, white and black, 1 digit out of the number plate, champagne flowing, old men crying. What was I, about 87, wasn't it? I was about...
87, 88, yeah.
Yeah, about 25, 26 at the time.
Was you really?
And, yeah. And then obviously we had the final home game against Bristol Rovers. I think we lost 3-0, if I remember rightly. But it didn't matter who we lost. We was up and we secured promotion. I'm very grateful for John Docherty for getting us there, And then he left and then he come back again, didn't he, for a little while as well,
1996 he came back.
Yeah. He was with Frank McClintock, wasn't he? His first spell, wasn't it? I'm sure it was Frank.
Yeah, that was right, yeah. He actually was assistant to Frank McClintock at Brentford before, and they switched it to come to the wall.
And he's the man who brought Hurlock to the club. I'm sure it was him who brought Hurlock to the club. Tony Sheringham, Tony Cascarino that season. He put that squad together, and it was like a unit. They weren't like super skillful, but they was a unit and they was a team. They was a machine, and that's what got us onto promotion. Thanks to John Docherty, and may he rest in peace. And my condolences go to his family, immediate family and friends.
Well, you was 25, 26. I was 8 or 9. Was you in the minors there, Ken, still 1989?
I was just still a distant memory of my dad's ball sack at that point, I'm afraid. So I love his accomplishments, but I've got absolutely nothing to back up what Pete's saying there. That's yours and Pete's.
I said to someone today about John Docking. They went, "Who's John Docking?" I just went, "Fucking hell." But if you weren't born, you can't. You know, it is what it is. But I do remember him. I'm very grateful for the memories I had from when we left the old game when I was 13. So yeah, the first manager I remember really, I would have first started going, with George Graham in charge, but I would have been 5-ish, and I wouldn't have really remembered that. I got close to interviewing him a couple of times. But he lived a good life, and he lived out his final years for quite a long time in a really nice care home out in Wiltshire with his wife and Brian Orn. A couple of times we was going to go and see him, and I was going to interview him, but it was difficult to get in because it was like a care home, but it was a very nice care home. Do you know what I mean? He lived there, say, with his wife. His money that he made throughout his career saw to a good sort of end to his life for him. And obviously, with the technology these days, we would have had to get. He couldn't have done something like this over the computer. He's obviously elderly. So we never actually got it done, which I'm absolutely gutted about. But to say, like, the memories you've got and the respect you've got as well, Pete, like you just said, for someone that doesn't even know that we exist and we never met, just shows you what football can do at times, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think maybe if you want to catch up on bits that you wanted to ask Docherty, you can maybe go to Frank McClintock.
Yeah, Frank McClintock still, and George Graham. I have been in touch with McClintock through Brian Hall. So
yeah,
I might be saying to do. He's apparently still razor sharp, Frank McClintock. 80 odd, 84 he was. But look, we live in hope that one day it might happen again. At the minute, after Oxford, it's probably not looking likely. But that's where we're going to start, actually, boys. I never went to Oxford. I did watch the game. It was one of the worst games of football I've ever seen in my life. You both made the trip, Ken. How was your day? What did you make of it?
Well, I mean, I said a lot of it in my video. I thought that the first half I felt like we dropped down to their level in the first half. I felt we were a better side, but we weren't very consistent. We didn't seem to have a particular gameplay. We were just had more possession and kind of looked more exciting without really looking like we were going to score, though, to be honest. They had the best chance. It was Joe Bryan that misplaced a pass. One of many, by the way, in that game. To Honeyman, he couldn't quite get it. Honeyman was already pushing forward. The guys nicked the ball off. He's nicked the ball off them, gone through, and I'll be honest with you, any other championship team would have punished us there by just passing it off to the left. But he's decided to be greedy, take a shot. And I'm even watching the highlights, I think that's probably one of the best saves he'll make all season, to be honest. From where I was standing, I was right down the end, and I could see the ball actually push up, if that makes sense. From the other side, I don't know whether it looked that good, but from where I was standing, it looked amazing. And then the second half, like I said, I've said it already, but I thought we were completely mismanaged in that second half. And as you know, I love Harris, and I'm the same with you, by the way. I don't blame Bradshaw. However, putting Bradshaw on was the biggest mistake he made, if that makes sense, for me. Yeah,
I mean, it's hindsight's a wonderful thing. We all sit here and give our opinions, and as Pete said in his full-time reaction, Harris got booed, and I love the fact that Harris reacts like he does, like Steve Morrison used to. He shows he cares. But we was 1-0 up at half-time away at Stoke, and he changed it from 4-4-2, took Bradshaw off, put Honeyman on, went 4-5-1. In this instance, it was a false change. But Pete, did you agree with obviously Bradshaw coming on? If not, what would you have done?
Well, it's I think that's why he got the stick he did, because it was all there for everyone to see that it weren't a game for Bradshaw, never in a million years. Because as soon as I don't blame Bradshaw for 1 minute, great player Bradshaw, I love him. but he was not for that game. You know the way Harris keeps mixing the squads round. We might win a game and he makes 2 or 3 changes the next game. You know, I could sort of get there. Maybe he's trying to, you know, like nullify the opposition in somewhat, you know. But when he made the sub, he brought Bradshaw on. The first thing that happened when he come on, the long ball was punted up to Bradshaw, and their centre half was 6'5", and there's no way he was going to win that. You know, that game. Kenny will tell you, you know yourself. Anyone who watched that game can tell they were piss poor.
So bad.
For 6, right, on Saturday by Middlesbrough. They was there for the taking. And what did we do? We put Bradshaw up. He should have gone 4-4-2, put the Mamaku on and the Serb on and gone for them. Because they was offering up nothing. And you just knew the bipolar Millwall, you just knew what was going to happen. You remember the last time we was there, it was 2-0 up in the cup. Same sort of thing, conceded 2 goals and lost on penalty. I kept saying to it, Dan, I said, we're not creating nothing. We didn't have a shot on goal. We didn't do nothing.
Do you think we got Millwall a little bit?
I said it's going to come.
Do you think we got Millwall a little bit, Ken, by Oxford?
Yeah, that's what I did say there.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like I say, I don't know how else to say it other than mismanaged. And Pete's exactly right. And me and Pete quite often disagree with things, but I 100% agree with him on that. Like, it was so mismanaged. It's not Bradshaw's fault. Bradshaw's going to always do what he always does. But you've got a 6'5", and this geezer, by the way, this defender, he was a unit as well, wasn't he? I don't know, like up close, he looked massive.
Was he the one with the ponytail? Looked like I said he looked like something out of Superman. No, the 3 baddies in Superman, and he was called fucking Non or something.
That was the other one. That was the smaller one. That was the smaller one.
Is that the little one?
Yeah. Like, and this geezer was humongous, absolute unit.
Listen, even Peter Crouch wouldn't have beat their centre half. You know what I mean? On it. Do you know what I mean? It's like mental. It's absolutely, like you say, second half, totally mismanaged. And that's what peed everyone off. Do you know what I mean? They could see it. And he didn't even make no subs.
Well, I want to talk about the subs. I want to talk about the strength in depth that we've got on the bench. And Ken, I really enjoyed your because you sent me your video, and I don't know what happened, but videos come through late, and then by the time I got around to editing them, when it was like next day, and I was watching your video and it cut short, and I was like, I was like, where's the rest of it? I was really enjoying that. You got loads of I think I might just hand the post matches over to you now, mate. We're getting literally non-stop since like credit to you and Pete as well for the videos from the weekend. But if you look at our bench there, like before we've had this situation where we've not really had we've got no one on the bench, we've got no strength on the bench. But in this instance, we had Bradshaw, Langstaff, Amaku, and Ivanovic. So it's more frustrating than ever now because we've got a bench there to utilise. But I don't know. I think Neil Harris's argument would be it was 1-0 up. The striker got injured. So I went like for like. Obviously, there's 2 other strikers on the bench, which potentially would have been more suited to Bradshaw. And I did speak about Bradshaw's goal scoring record and what he's done for the club down the years. But I mean, am I living in the past a bit? So, and also someone said on the comments, he needs to take that leap of faith in these players that we've got, and they're not getting the opportunity. So I've explained my reasons why I think Bradshaw plays. Why do you boys think that he persists with Bradshaw? Well,
number one, Danny, he didn't do like for like there, did he? He took a 6-foot striker off and put a 5'5" striker on. He should have put the reserve on, shouldn't he? Yeah, that's like for like. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But he should have He should have just swapped around and got. He could see by that first half they was offering nothing. So he should. You know what? Let's go and like tear him up a little bit. Let's be a bit brave here and have a go. All we needed was that second goal. It was game over.
Yeah.
And he didn't. He went like cautious again. I could understand cautious against your bigger teams like Norwich's and Middlesbrough, but not against Oxford, mate. They are going down. Make no bones about it. They're the worst team in the league. And we took our foot off the gas and let them get away with it. And you knew it was going to happen. And that is why we was all paid with the final whistle. Because there was a chance there for 3 points and we blew it. Simple as that.
I think that to answer your question, I'm going to be really honest. Don't know whether this is going to get me in trouble or not. But
hang on. It's not going to get your stag do cancelled, is it?
No.
Carry on then.
Right. Something doesn't smell right here to me. Like something don't smell right to me. My genuine belief is that Ivanovic and Langstaff, I don't think Harris had much to do with them signings, right? And he's a stubborn creature of habit, Harris, a stubborn creature of habit. And I think that Harris goes with what he thinks is best because it's his decision, right? And I think that Bradshaw was his decision, right? Ivanovic and Langstaff potentially weren't his decision, and God forbid he ever got proved wrong. That's my thought process on it, you know. And it's got to be something really silly like that, which is weird because he's a Millwall manager. He loves Millwall. He knows the Millwall way. All this sort of stuff. So at some point, he's going to have to swallow his pride. The biggest problem I have with Harris about this is he didn't swallow his pride last time. And when things started, not that I think things are going downhill, but when things started going downhill, that's when Harris showed how stubborn he was, and then we didn't kick on as a team. So what I'm hoping is that he turns around and goes, "Yeah, do you know what? That was a wrong decision. Now, what I'm going to have to do is trust in people like Steve Gallen, who have brought these players into the team, and give them a go. And if I'm proved wrong, I'm proved wrong. Millwall have succeeded because of it."
Andrew Roberts says there, why does Harris not trust either Langstaff or Ivanovic? Langstaff can press like Bradshaw, would have been a better chance of scoring than Bradders. And I think you've answered that question there. And I like what you're saying. And it's a difficult one because I had a chat with Tony Warner about this, and it's a bit like Pete's mate, Mr. Muscles. Mr. Muscles, I was Ian Fleming. He was going to go to Burnley when, what's his name? Vincent Kompany was in charge, wasn't he? And then Vince Company left, went to Bayern Munich, and then Scott Parker come in, and Fleming still went eventually to Burnley. So and I said to Tony Warner, said, believe me, in this day and age in football, managers don't really have a lot of a say. But back then, when Bradshaw signed, Harris would have done. And maybe that is part of it. Maybe it's what you're saying. It's the fact that he may not trust them, or he trusts his own judgment. But again, the worrying thing as well is that, like, he was a striker, wasn't he? You know, he was a striker. These are strikers, and you look at all our strikers, and I said about Bradshaw's records, not bad considering where we are as a team and the chances we create. If you look at all these strikers now, they've all played 12, scored 1. There's no one that's getting a decent run, if you like. And I feel, if anyone, the one that probably deserves a chance, I mean, Ivanovic will get his chance, just turned 20. But I feel that the Langstaff's been particularly hardly done by.
Yeah, I agree. You know, this guy's come from, you know, non-league to League 2 or whatever it is. Any other team in the Championship that had bought Langstaff would be one of the first players in the team.
Do you know what's well, right? He's 27, nearly 28, Langstaff. I'm not knocking that. But he's no spring chicken. He's done his time in the lower league. You can see there, it could be like looking a little bit of a Kevin Nisbet fucking stats in Scotland. But the goals are there, aren't they? Look, fucking across many divisions, non-league, League 2. And I thought he was really coming into his own, Langstaff. He got his goal finally, didn't he? So up as well. And he seems to be in the wilderness more, in my opinion, more than any of them at the minute.
The thing is, though, Dan, as well, the only big difference between, say, that step is pace, right? If you can adjust your pace to the Championship level, this guy's been playing at Gateshead and Notts County in the pissing rain on shitty pitches for years, with probably half chances and scoring goals, right? Now he's being put into the Championship with better players that can create better opportunities on better pitches, right? He can finish. There's no two ways about that.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, if he can adjust to the pace of the game, which in my opinion looks like he can, you know, he's made 2 assists in that as well. I think both with his left foot, by the way, as well. His weaker foot. So, being able to adjust to the pace is quite obvious if you're able to run down a line, look up, pick a pass, and create a scoring opportunity. I don't understand why the guy don't get a chance, and why we're still picking Bradshaw on the basis that because of his work rate don't score your goals anymore. You know, in the days of Gregory, you know, and stuff like that, work rate. But if I remember rightly, Neil Harris didn't have the greatest work rate. He weren't a Bradshaw, was he?
No, he was old school centre forward, played with Moody, played off the big man, crosses into the box.
Yeah.
But football's changed. No one really plays that way anymore, do they? I did think that we was going down that route. I find it strange as well that, so about his stubbornness, the only time he's gone 4-4-2 was away at Stoke, and then he was going to do it away at Pompey. Obviously, the game got called off. But for me, the frustrations of going back to what you were saying about he wants to prove himself right. Is this George Honeyman thing for me as well? Like this George Honeyman in a 10, it just fucking does not work. However, Pete, arguments that Harris will have to support that he's doing everything right and he shouldn't be getting booed. He's there on the screen. We've lost one game in the last 10. However, Harris has said, look, I think we should be in that top 6. And if you look at the table, all right, we've got games now. We've dropped down to 10th. I think we was at one point against Stoke away, we would have been 4th. Are we wrong to get on Harris's back? Should we have more faith in what he knows and what he's done since he's come back to the football club? Or is in this instance he being a little bit too stubborn and he needs to help himself out?
Dan, listen, if that game was against a bigger club, I could fully understand. But as I said before, that team was there for the taking, mate. They was there for the taking, and we missed the trick. He should have gone on to absolutely. We should have won that game 3 or 4-0 if he decided to have a go. Why sit back? We sit back against all the big teams, right? So when we're playing like a lesser team, like you said, they're like they was like Millwall, and we was like I won't say Leeds, but we was like Norwich against them. Okay, so look at I think possession-wise, I think we had something like 70-odd% possession if I remember rightly. We never had that, and we should have put that game to bed. And listen, I know we've had the good run, but you know you've got to continue with that form. You mustn't stop and just sit back. And I think that's what's frustrating about that game. We went the 9 games up and we put in some great performances. Don't get me wrong. And then we go out and we put in a performance like that and drop two valuable points. You know, that's what frustrates all us Millwall fans. Why didn't he just go? If we'd have had 20 shots on goal and lost that 2-0, I would know for well done, Millwall. But it wasn't. It was just a boring game.
It was really boring. I mean, you two were there. I watched it on the telly. It can sometimes come across different, but it just felt like they weren't interested in crossing the halfway line, and it was a little bit like a rugby scrum in the first half. Aziz was the only one who was showing any willingness to try and get on the ball and make something of quality happen. Yeah. We just were driving them back, and just in the end, that sheer persistence got us to go.
Yeah, but you look at it, what we should be doing. You know, if you had a lane, so you got Bradshaw. Bradshaw should be running out the wings and running all over the place. He should be in the middle, and the workers, SA and Aziz, should be getting the ball distributed to them, running down the line and dropping that ball in the box. Never happened. Never happened. All that our threat was long ball, and then like Bradshaw was feeding off scraps, and that was what peed everyone off. That second half performance, no sort of like wanting to win the game. I think they was happy to hold on to the 1-0, but what he should have done is gone for the 2, and then gone for it. You know what I mean? And then if we conceded, then fair enough. But we didn't even go for it. We just tried to hang on to it. You know?
Do you think Harris, I'm just trying to think of like, arguments to the contrary. Do you think Harris might have gone, well, hang on. We was winning the game comfortably. Coburn's got injured. If Coburn don't get injured, we still win the game. For me, out of all the strikers we've got, Coburn for me is the best of them. But he can't stay fit, obviously, is an issue with him. Yeah. But he's a good target, man. We got him on loan to the end of the season. Again, I've said this. I like the way the club's moving. We're not. I mean, you look at like this time last season, we had fucking Campbell, we had Longman, Tanganga, we had Norton Cuffey, and we had one other. We've had Obafemi in as well. Like all these loans, we've actually got now a lot of them, Coburn aside, and probably Wintle, good young Millwall players that are all permanent players. This persisting with Coburn, do you think it's the right decision if he is fit, even though he's a loanee?
Yeah, I think that you do as a manager. You have to play your best player. However, Coburn's just come back from an injury, and there wouldn't have been a problem. Don't get me wrong; we would have moaned about something else if Ivanovic had replaced him, right? And then we still drew 1-1 in that game. You still would have been blaming Harris for the result. Sorry, I'm going off it there. But I think you have to incorporate the other two at least. You've got a 20-year-old striker that we've just spent £3 million on, and you've got another striker that's been prolific in all the leagues below. And you can't play one up top especially when you've gone out and bought all these strikers. You can't play one up top. Surely the intention is to play two. It's just baffled me. But then, I'm not someone who's got 24 coaching badges and run a football team. So
he's putting himself not hiding to nothing. Because again, look, we're 9 games unbeaten, and some people might be saying, "Hang on, what's going on here? You fucking."
Do you know why? Do you know why? And it's Harris's downfall is that Harris's last tenure, his whole thing was, we fucking go at everyone here. We go at everyone. We don't die. We don't lay down. We go at everyone, right? So, and when he first came back, that's exactly what we were doing, right? We go at everyone, right? And it's almost like he's got a bit more reserved because now we're on an unbeaten streak or whatever. And now
he's got more to, like in the tank. Right? He's got more, a little bit more slack.
Yeah, you're trying to protect. Yeah. You're trying to protect that. Whereas if we'd gone all out, like Pete said, had 20 shots on goal, keepers had an absolute blinder, and then they've gone and scored a goal, you'd go, all right, fair enough. Do you know what? Just we fucking couldn't get it over the line.
Exactly.
Right? But the fact that we stood there and for 45 minutes, and like you say, watched the rugby scrum, when you know your team is better, when you know your team could go and finish this off, that's what's frustrating.
I think as well, Pete, the quality we had on the bench, and like you said before we went on air to me, like the distinct lack of fucking efforts we had on goal. I can't remember one in that second half. I
can't remember. All I remember in the second half was just the one shot and goal, and that come from Oxford, And our defence and done really well Saturday, apart from like they didn't close him down for the goal. I never thought in a month of Sundays they was going to score. I really didn't.
Never. Yeah, we was hanging on a bit, weren't we?
Yeah, because I thought after remember that Norwich game when we was 3-2 up with going to extra time, lost 4-3. It was reminding of that. I went, they're going to get another one. They nearly got another one straight after that, didn't they?
It was weird. When I was watching it on the stream, I said, unless we try and kill these off, we're going to, we're going to fucking retract, and they're going to equalise, and it's exactly what happened. And as much as I love Harris, it does worry me that he couldn't see that coming because we've seen it a million times before.
And another thing that he said as well, wasn't it, that we had so many balls into the box, but yet no one was there to finish them. And it's like, well, without being rude, firstly, you're the one who put the striker on. Right? You're the one who changed the striker. Secondly, when you've only got one striker up against 3 centre-backs, how many of them balls do you honestly believe we're going to get on the end of? We only just got on the end of one against Sunderland because we had 36 strikers on.
Do you know what? The goal against Sunderland was a really good team goal, and I thought that he might have learned from that.
Goal.
You had Amaka. Keeper made a good save. Brian picks it up into Amaka, who's not played any football whatsoever, who does really well, rides a challenge, keeps it alive, gets up, carries on, and then feeds Langstaff, who then feeds Ivanovic, who then goes back to Amaku. And I did wonder, is that not in his mindset? We've got all these players that have come off the bench and done well against Sunderland. Like, use those players that have showed when we needed. See, the thing is, the problem for me is we was 1-0 down against Sunderland, so he's done what he's needed to do to get us level. Just because we're winning, it don't mean that should change. So why didn't he try the same sort of things with the same sort of players and score, like you say, score a second instead of, well, 1-0 will do us, because we know predominantly down the years 1-0 don't do us, does it?
No, but listen, I don't think any Mill fan, if he went like last 10 minutes was 1-0 up and he put on 2 strikers and was having a proper go and we conceded, I wouldn't be moaning.
Yeah.
I'd say, well done, Neil. At least you tried to win the game instead of sort of sitting back. I mean, I could understand if there was a West Brom or a Norwich and doing it, but they was Oxford. They was the worst team in the league. That's what's frustrating about it.
A strange little stadium as well, isn't it? Christian Bastielli, thank you very much, mate. There's been a donation. Super chats are open. You can donate to the channel if you want to via the comments section. Now, I did a video yesterday because I wanted to have my say off the back of what you boys said the weekend, and I still don't feel that I put it across properly when I watched it back, and it's frustrating me. So my argument, and I'm not saying I agree with it, we know that I like Tom Bradshaw, and I think he's been a great servant for the club, and I think that Harris thinks, right, who can I trust? I know I can trust Bradshaw. He's played over 200 games. So that's Bradshaw's stats, and I wasn't saying that, I'm trying to explain for Neil Harris why he's put Bradshaw on the pitch. Now, if you put Bradshaw's stats, look, around 1 in 4 for Millwall, that's not bad. Again, I don't think he's helped Bradshaw out, sticking him on, at half time with that strapping on his leg as well, and people already frustrated. It does to me seem like it's very much, I'm not knocking anyone for this, but all the comments that I've had coming through all week, it seems to be very much about Bradshaw and Harris. Why is it like? It seems to be, I think our fans think there's becoming some sort of infatuation there with Bradshaw. I don't think his scoring record's bad at all for a Millwall striker. 1 in every 4, or again, is that done now? Is he? I mean, I did see something yesterday. Someone said he's League 2. I don't think he's League 2 by any stretch. I still think he's a Championship striker, and I think if he gets starts in formations that suits us and gets opportunities, he'll score goals. But he just seems to be doing a lot of dog work, like we was in that game. But, doing a lot of dog work. We didn't take control of the game. Did we seem to be chasing it in that second half?
I think the argument there is, Dan, is that I do get it. But if that's the case, then why doesn't, well, firstly, say Danny McNamara get a position all the time? Why doesn't Murray Wallace get a place every time? Right? I'd understand it if it was every single player that he's ever had and trusted. It always seems to be Bradshaw. And the thing is that no one moaned about Murray Wallace coming on, right? And I'll tell you why, because you go, right, okay, well, we need another defender on. Murray Wallace is the only defender that we've got there. Because I was moaning about Wes Harding not even warming up on Saturday. He weren't even there. But Wes Harding, Murray Wallace was the only defender we had. So we go, yeah, no problem, right? However, when you put Bradshaw on and you've got 3 strikers on the bench that we all believe or think are better or would be better suited to that game, for whatever we know, that's when the frustration comes in. I've got no frustrations directed at Bradshaw, by the way, because I agree with you. I think he's been a fantastic servant. I think he could potentially still do a job for Millwall. However, in that particular situation, I agree with you. Harris threw him under a bus. He didn't. I know he didn't mean to, but Harris threw him under a bus because he still worked hard. He still tried doing the things that Bradshaw does, but that's not what we needed on Saturday. No.
I mean, and a lot of people said, there's been another donation. Thank you very much, Lee. Much appreciated. John Parr says, is there any Millwall fan who thinks Bradshaw should be playing? It appears to be only Harris. I just think that, a lot of people saying start the Serb. And I just don't think, and maybe Harris needs to take that leap of faith, Pete, in the Serb. Again, I don't think he was a Neil Harris signing. We paid £3 million for him. He played bit parts, didn't he? He turned up injured. He scored a really good goal against Derby. But are we pinning a bit too much on him in terms of hoping, knowing that he's at this? This is what I think Harris knows. And I still think he is at this level, Bradshaw. He knows what he's going to get out of Bradshaw. Do you think he's still a little bit of the unknown with a Serb? He don't know if he can trust him. He's new to the country. He's literally just turned 20 years old. Are we as fans, because he's the one not playing, going, why isn't he playing? And then if he does get a run of 4 or 5 games, is he going to be the new, oh, he's fucking useless. Why is he playing? Do you know what I mean?
Well, then we know, don't we?
Yeah.
Then we know why he's not playing.
Is it the lack of, willing to try that option to see if he has got it in the tank or not?
Yeah. I think part of our problem on Saturday was certain players weren't up to it on Saturday. And number one is SA, right? Thought he was piss poor. I think he has been in the last few games. So you're not getting the ball forward quickly enough. You're not getting down the wings. You're not getting the ball in to the likes of Bradshaw. But so with the Serb, I don't think he's the quickest player. He's nowhere near as fast as Langstaff or anything like that. So you need that sort of nippy winger. With the Serb, it's sort of a slower build up, trying to get the ball and crosses in for him and things like that. But we're not getting no crosses in the box. There's no fluidity going forward from the midfield to the wingers. So the midfield get the ball and they run through the middle. They should be putting it out wide. Wingers coming down and crossing the ball to Brad. That's not happening.
I thought the centre midfield. I think they've had a really good season.
They have, but
I thought they were really poor Saturday. Savawan,
yeah, exactly. The whole team was poor Saturday, but SA needs to be dropped just to give him a rest. In my opinion, just to give him a rest, get him recharge his batteries, and then realise, if you want to stay in the first team, you've got to start performing. And I think I think you said earlier that he's now in the first team. He's sort of don't think he's got to impress as much, and he does one too many step overs for me as well, in dangerous areas of the pitch. So we need someone who's got to take that role. I think so. Who put it down as a number 10? You put SA as a number 10. David,
Yeah.
Ken, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that role might suit him better. Yeah, and drop Honeyman out, sort of thing. But
this is another one with George Honeyman. For me, I find him so frustrating. The game against Sunderland, it was against Oxford actually. He chased back late in the game. He fucking flew into attack, and I was like, that's what he's good at. When he's getting on the ball, when he's fucking free kicking, he's looking up. I'm waiting for Jeremy Beadle to come out because I know where this free kick's going. It's fucking going nowhere where you want it to go with no quality at all. But it's another one with me with Harris where he persists. Against Wolves. Where he persists with this Honeyman in a 10, and like you say, Ken, he's setting his ways and he won't fucking change it.
Yeah. Sorry, I've just got in my head about the question that you asked before that, about the striker thing. I want to say, by the way, because I know a lot of people have been slating Bradshaw. I'm not in that bracket of slating him. Like I say, I still think he can do a job for us. However, when you look at the bench and you're playing one up top, Bradshaw is the one at the lowest of the list for me. If you're playing one up top, right now, don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem if on Saturday he goes, right, I'm playing 4-4-2 and I'm playing Ivanovic and I'm playing Bradshaw. Right, I think something like that would benefit Bradshaw. Big serve, someone that can hold the ball up, etc., and let him, try and find the angles. Don't have a problem with that. I'd still probably rather have Langstaff, but I wouldn't mind Bradshaw being there. So I wanted to say that. What was your question, mate? Sorry.
I don't know. Once again, Rob, thank you very much, mate. There's been another donation. Super chats are open. Even in all, we need to be quicker, stronger going forward and using pace, which often is sat on the bench. Yeah, that was the thing with Saturday. It was so frustrating that we got all these players on the bench there. See,
Maku there, right? You could have brought him on with 20 minutes to go. And all he would have done was run at them and backed them up. Took off SA and put, Imaku on. And Imaku would have tore him a good one, I'm telling you. And it seems to me to have a problem with Imaku, definitely.
Especially after his performance when he came off the bench against Sunderland. There seems to be nothing that Imaku can do to force his way into the side, does it? And maybe Harris just thought, all right, we're winning 1-0. It was a bit of a reactive thing when I'm going to wait. And then what we haven't discussed either is he sticks fucking Langstaff on in 94 minutes. Like, what the fuck is that about? Do you know what I mean? Just react a bit, just don't be fucking proactive. Don't react to something that's happened. If I was Langstaff, I would have gone, you having a fucking laugh?
Listen,
on 94 minutes.
As a Millwall fan, I think it was all the frustration. And let's go back to the unbeaten run. Let's not forget that. Absolutely fantastic run of results. Leeds, Burnley and Sunderland, Let's not forget that. But last week was a very, very, very frustrating week for a Millwall fan. Going to Portsmouth, all that way, game getting called off, yeah? And then going to Oxford a few days later and watching that. And I just think we had a bad week, and the team had a bad week, and it's just, I suppose sometimes we've got to take that. But I'd just like us to be that more consistent,
It's always been a problem for us, consistency. It always has, no matter who's in charge. Don't you think? It's strange. Sparky says some of our fans are just straight up disrespectful, slating and booing a manager, a club legend who saved their asses last season as 9 unbeaten with a bang average squad. It's just embarrassing. I get what Sparky's saying. When I clicked your full-time reaction up, Pete, the next day, and I put it out, and I was like, 9 games unbeaten, and they're booing the manager. Wow. But like you just said there, I think it was frustration in general more than, we're not happy with what Neil Harris is doing as a manager. And I think, as well, some of us probably felt, I do as well, as much as I like him, I feel that he's selling us short a little bit. We've got all these young players now. We're building a good young squad for the future. And they're all sitting there on the bench. And to allow Oxford back into that game was criminal. I can't really defend it, to be honest.
It was criminal.
I think that Millwall fans as a whole, we're very, very passionate. We wear our hearts on our sleeves, that type of thing. And I just think in that moment, just for the record, I didn't boo him. I was trying to quickly get out of the car park as quick as possible. But I can understand why they booed him, and I reckon probably 75% of them regretted it after they did it, to be honest. How
do you think? It was quite a quick. I watched your video a few times, Pete. It's quite a quick boo, wasn't it? And then a shift, and then all right, it's done now. What's done is done. But how do you think he'll react to that Saturday? I'm interested because what you said, Ken. Do you think he'll go, well, fuck you, I'll do it again then?
Yeah.
I'll play again in the 10. I'll play fucking Bradshaw again. I'll say fucking like that.
Yeah. Well, I think
Neil's a very much, like you said it earlier, touching a very much a Steve Morrison sort of personality. Yeah. If it ain't going his way, he'll tell you go like he did the fans. He come up, he started clapping like that, and they all booed him. He went like that,
fuck off.
You know what I mean? And he's got to understand that, our frustration. I know he turned around his comments and went, well, some of them fans got to remember that we've been on an 8-9 game unbeaten run. Fair dues, but come on, Neil. That game was there for the taking, for all to see.
I do think, as football fans in general, we all sit here and we all think we know what we're talking about. Neil Harris, I think sometimes, not just Neil Harris, but other managers might think, hang on, what the fuck do you lot actually know? Do you know what I mean? Listen, leave it to me. I know what I'm fucking doing. We're 9 games unbeaten. We've got no one's got more points in this division than Leeds have from a point from last season. When I turned up last year, you was fucking near on relegation, and I've fucking topped the form table. Do you know what I mean? You need to leave it to me to do what I know I can do. But I just think it's a little bit. I can't say you can defend that Saturday. We all knew what was coming. We could all see what was going to happen, and exactly what happened, what we thought did happen.
There's a saying that you're only as good as your last game. Yeah, you're only as good as your last game. I think that last game was woeful, and he's got to start playing 2 up front.
What do you think he'll do Saturday?
I think he will go 2 up front.
Don't say what you want him to do. What do you think he'll do against Coventry? Frank Lampard returning.
I think he'll go 2 up front. I think he will do. He's got to bite the bullet on this one. He can't keep playing, especially the likes. They're there for the taking as well, Coventry. They've got big Franklin and all that, but they'd be there for the taking. And we'll probably end up losing 3-0. But
it's like, what's that thing when you just went, it can't carry on like this? What's the meme with Mick McCarthy? It can.
Yeah.
we have seen it before, but I'm just thinking back down the years when I remember when he was manager first time around, Tony Craig was getting a load of shit, and everyone was going, he can't play Tony Craig again. And he kept doing it, didn't he? And like this Saturday, like he's not gone 4-4, he's gone 4-4-2 twice this season. Once away at Stoke and changed it at half time when we was 1-0 up. And the second time was also going to be away to Portsmouth. The game got called off. So he's not actually gone 4-4-2 at home yet this season. And I've been saying it since the opening preview. Don't show teams so much respect, especially at the Den. Don't play George Honeyman in the 10. But again, his argument to me could be, mate, look how many games he's won at the Den. Look at a record at the Den. So just you keep your fucking mouth shut, you fucking fat four-eyed prick. You do your live stream and you let me worry about running the team. Do you know what I mean?
I think the problem is that you've been saying it for longer. We've been saying it for 6 years. Play 4-4-2 at home. Do you know what I mean? Like, or at least
he loves it. He loves the 4-4-2, didn't he? Before he come back this time round, 4-4-2 was all he knew.
Yeah. Why don't he do a Leeds and do a 2-2-6? Yeah, they're caning everyone, haven't they?
Not with the defenders at the moment, mate.
Huh?
Not with the defenders on Saturday.
Tangander at the back, right? Tangander at the back, they won't get past him. You know what I mean?
Just leave him there on his own.
Yeah,
he's suspended. He's suspended. Well, Tangander's suspended, isn't he?
Yeah, I know.
So this weekend, Rob just said, how do you fellas think we'll get around the suspensions? We're talking about what we're going to do going forward, but we got fucking big problems at the back. Now,
no pace at the back, Dan. There's no pace without Tangander.
We've got Cooper out, of course, 10 weeks.
I think now thinking of it, because of the defence, he'll play deep. He'll play the defence deep. He won't have a high line. Well, he does with Tangander because he's got pace. He won't with that lot because, you know, like I say, I put in who is it? Harding and was it? No.
Yeah, I'll put it on the screen now. So this is, I asked you boys earlier to send me the teams that you would pick for this weekend's game. Now, as far as I'm aware, someone said to me that Leonard was suspended, but other people are saying that he isn't, right?
Yeah.
Tanganga's suspended. Cooper's injured. Hutchinson's injured. So, Pete, that will be your team.
Yeah.
On Saturday. Do you want to talk us through that?
Harding's got a bit of pace, so you need a bit of pace in the centre there, definitely. Yeah, because I think Harding might be a bit slow. I don't know if you noticed him warming him up the other day. I think he might have put on a bit of timber. So I think he's going to be a bit slow. McNamara and Joe Bryan, yeah, I'm happy with him. They're quite fast, you know. But yeah, definitely. That's it. Well, that's all we got on it, really. Who else have we got?
Murray Wallace. Yeah, I'm a big as well when it comes to Murray Wallace. Fucking Newcastle 2, Liverpool 1, Anthony Gordon. In other scores, Man City 3-0 up against Notts Forest, Aston Villa 3-0 up against Brentford. That's going to fuck my acca, that is Liverpool, if they don't sort themselves out. Anyway, back to our game Saturday. That's the team that you go with on Saturday, Pete. No essay there for you.
No, mate. He needs to rest him. And he needs to realise as well that to stay in that team, you've got to be consistent. And like I said, I don't like digging players out, but I just think the boy needs to rest. He's a super talent, you know, super talent. But it's just the games are coming thick and fast, and I just do not think he's fit enough or, you know, experienced enough to carry on what he's doing. Give him a couple of games rest, let him come back fresh again, and then he realises he knows what he's got to do to stay in the team. I think he must please start in Matku. He's the man, I'm telling you.
He had such a good start, didn't he? He had a brilliant pre-season. He was our best player in Spain. Scored a good goal out there. PSV were after him. And then he just sort of went into the wilderness. And I like what you've done there, Pete. But I just look at that and I just, no disrespect to you, I think it's a waste of... I mean, someone said to me the other day when I did that strikers video, why didn't you mention Amaku? Because Harris doesn't see Amaku as a starter, let alone as a striker. And I like what you've done. I like that team. But I just... In my mind, I'm just thinking there's not a chance in fucking hell that that's the team that Harris will pick. And that's not right, but that's just what I think, you know. where Harris is out with his head. Do you know what I mean?
So who would he play in a Maccus? But he won't drop SA, you're saying?
He'll play SA and he'll play that 4 there, but he'll play SA instead of Aziz. I personally think, this is what I think. I mean, I'm shitting on the preview a bit because I haven't filmed it yet, and that's going to be out tomorrow. I think he'll go 4-5-1, right? I think he'll play Murray Wallace instead of Harding. I think he'll play SA on the wing. I think the only bit of movement I think you'll get from him is I think he'll play Langstaff up front, and I still think he'll play fucking Honeyman. I hope he don't, but I just got a feeling I think he will.
Yeah.
Ken, let's look at your team, mate. That's the team that you would go with.
Yeah, that's the team I would go with. I've got to a point where I trust Murray Wallace more than what I do Joe Bryan.
Really?
Yeah, I think if Joe Bryan gave away the ball 10 times, I wouldn't be over-exaggerating on Saturday. And he does it a lot. And I just think by the way, Pete said he put on a bit of timber, but I remember Harding being quite nippy. I think if you've got Leonard and Harding there with a little bit of pace and Denor being a proper CDM, I think that you've got players there that can sweep up Murray Wallace if you've got a tasty fast winger. I don't dislike Honeyman. I just dislike Honeyman in a 10.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think George Saville has been quiet the last couple of games. He runs like he's shattered. He looks shattered, and he's starting to play like he's shattered. So I'd give him a break and stick Honeyman in with Aziz on the left-hand side. For me, if we're not going to be essentially trying to, put balls in the box as much, I think that with that 4 as a diamond and with 2 up top, I think we could play our way into scoring goals there.
We've both gone with Ivanovic. You've both gone with Langstaff as well, which I like. Listen, I think it's the time is coming to that point, isn't it? But Harris is Harris, and I just got a feeling you're going to see Honeyman in the 10. Yep. And even it wouldn't surprise me if you see Bradshaw as well.
I would, by the way, just so you know, I wouldn't mind if Bradshaw was there instead of Langstaff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that. But if you're asking me, the only reason why I've put Langstaff there actually is because I'm on the same thing as you there, where I think this geezer needs to start getting some game time. Being put on the 94th minute against Oxford is a joke. Bradshaw's had 45 minutes in the tank, so now it's time to get the young boy in and give Langstaff some game time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm up for a 4-4-2. I just don't think he's going to do it, which is strange because I say predominantly Neil Harris is a 4-4-2 manager, isn't he? And now we've got so many strikers. I know he shouldn't. He probably doesn't think like this, but he's going to make his life a lot easier. If now Coburn's injured, he plays 2 strikers and he's got another one on the bench. At points when he's playing 1 up front and he's got 4 strikers to try and keep happy, they can't all be happy, can they? There must be knocking on his door, do you think? Must be.
I would be. Something's gone wrong with him, with Amaku. For me, Amaku's not a starter, but I'm very surprised that Amaku hasn't got more game time than what he has.
Well, he was going to go to Wickham apparently on deadline day, and I think there's an injury to Bradshaw put paid to that, so he didn't end up going out on loan. But I know Wickham are doing well in their division; they're top of the league. But I don't know, it just seems like another one that's going to end up potentially falling by the wayside. Another good young talent who we've discovered, paid a bit of money for. Again, was it Harris signed or wasn't it? Let's talk about Coburn. There he is, a finger for each injury he's had so far. Because people said, fucking send him back. To be fair, Liverpool have equalised. Salah, shock. I was in the boat of, I did think, what's the point in having him send him back? But he is clearly talented, isn't he? And we paid a fee for him. We tried to get him permanently. That didn't happen, but we paid like a loan fee. Where do you see him if he comes back to the end of the season and he doesn't get injured again? Would you boys? Are you with me? Do you think he's the pick of the bunch?
Well, he's definitely the pick of the bunch in ways of Harris, and I think we like him more because we've seen him more. You know, whenever he's fit, he's played. But bearing in mind, I think he's only scored. How many goals has he scored?
Two.
He's only scored 2 goals.
Yeah, 2. Stoke and his debut Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah. So, you know, he's the best of the bunch because we've seen him the most. But if you had Ivanovic on there, if you had Langstaff on there, you know, Porcelain Kobe, he does. Maybe why he wasn't getting the game time at fucking Middlesbrough. Because
I don't agree with sending him back, by the way. I don't, you know, long and short of it is, if he's out for 8 weeks, he's got to get fit and whatnot. He might be the type of person that we need in 10, 12 weeks' time. You know,
we paid a loan fee for him, so there's no point in sending him back. You might as well get what you can out of him. But long term, would you be interested in signing him if you've got the opportunity to?
No.
Pete?
I would. I'll definitely sign him. I think he's a class player.
Yeah, not on quality, Pete. By the way, but a lot based on if he didn't
class
get
player or glass player.
Yeah. if he didn't get in, he's been injured twice this season. You know, and a young kid to
they're
get
big injuries, aren't they?
It's worrying.
Yeah, they're big injuries. I've got to say, yeah. But I mean, if he can only stay fit, you know, that's the thing. You know. I think it's class. I would like to sign him. You know, but.
Or do we think that he's sort of standing in the way of this guy, Mihailo Ivanovic? He's a little bit of an unknown still, Ivanovic. Would you agree with that, boys?
I think he's an absolute lunatic.
His dad's a fucking lunatic, that's for sure.
I think he's a lunatic and something exactly what we need, not just up front, but within the team.
A little bit of an unknown, throw him in, like a little bit of a wild card.
Yeah, a bit psychotic type of thing, even the way he plays. Do you know what I mean? Like when you look at the team, I always, not that I think he's a captain, by the way, but I don't ever think, other than George Saville, I think we've got a captain in that team. But someone like him, I think, could be like that. I know I'm not going to compare here, but you know, like the Urlock, like someone that's everyone's scared of him. Do you know what I mean? That's like I think people would be scared about coming up against him. I think there's something not right in his head. But he's a good striker in my opinion.
We've only seen little glimpses of him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wait till he's a permanent starter, mate. He's gonna smash some people up. I tell you.
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely like a Millwall type, like a crowd on board. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but he needs someone with him, though. He can't do it all on his own.
Yeah.
You know, he needs someone. Even like if he wins them balls in the box, a knockdown to a Langstaff. I'll be so looking forward to seeing him starting with Langstaff. Really am.
You know? If it happens, again, is this? Are we like sort of? This is what we think should happen because it hasn't happened. If it does happen, do you boys think that they've got the potential to? You know what? Look, that's what we should be doing. Do you think Neil Harris might be watching this now? And he might be watching this, saying, "What? Listen, you boys have got no fucking clue. If I played Ivanovic up front with Langstaff, it would be a fucking disaster."
Well, I'm happy to be proved wrong.
Yeah,
you know. Well, I think the start of the season he done something when he played players, didn't he? He went, well, I played them what I'd done. I think it was the Yorick game. He went, I'll give them their chance, and they've blown it. Do you remember the Yorick game?
Yeah.
He turned around at the end of the game.
Aziz also originally blew it, didn't he?
They won't be knocking on my door again, he said.
However, the goal against Sunderland was predominantly between Langstaff and Ivanovic linking up.
Subs.
Yeah, linking up with Amaku.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I just think that's all I'm thinking. I think Harris looks at it and goes, "Look, I know what I get out of Bradshaw, right? I ain't everyone's favourite player. By the way, he's 32 years old, but this is too much of a risk. But it might be a risk that he's forced into now, mightn't it? Against Coventry at home on Saturday."
Yeah, it sounds awful, but maybe one of the best things that could happen is that, you know, Bradshaw gets another knock or something like that, where he's then forced to have to play one of them two. But you know, I don't see Bradshaw scoring more than 5 goals this season.
Well, I don't see anyone, unless someone can get a run, I don't see anyone scoring more than 5 goals. That's the problem. I don't think it lies at Bradshaw's feet. I think that they're all very much in and out, and no one. We've got so many of them that play in that position, and only one fucking shirt available. That I think whoever plays up front on Saturday is going to be doing a lot of dog work, a lot of running. They're going to be chasing lost causes. So they're not going to be, especially against Coventry. Coventry, I know like they're struggling at the minute, and they've got a new manager in Frank Lampard, but they'll come good. Coventry, they always do. Especially with our frailties at the back on Saturday, I think we could be, looking a little bit too much on, well, why is so-and-so not playing up front? When in reality, I think on Saturday you could see whoever plays up front just doing loads of fucking dog work. That's the problem.
I think that the problem is that that's the whole problem, though, Dan, is that we're talking about our strikers having to do absolute dog work at home against a struggling Coventry. Like that, our strikers shouldn't be doing that.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's the big problem, and that's where we go back to the mismanagement. And it's not a dig at Bomber. He's got plenty in the tank for me to, but sometimes things have to change.
Well, hopefully on Saturday they fucking will change, but I'm not so sure. You have both gone with, where's Pete's team gone? There it is. Pete, you've gone with a 4-4-2 with Vanovic and Langstaff. And Kenny, you've also gone with a diamond, but a 4-4-2 and a Vanovic and Langstaff. Wouldn't it be refreshing that on Saturday he goes, yeah, go on, fuck it. I'm going to go them two up front. I'm going to go 4-4-2. When it crosses into the box. I just don't know, boy.
Like the second half display against Sunderland. That's what you want, yeah?
But why doesn't he do it?
In the second half, we could have scored 3 goals.
I don't disagree. Everton 4-0 up against Wolves. I don't disagree, but why don't he? He'd only seem to do that as if we're losing and chasing, doesn't he?
Well, it's a dangerous thing to do, isn't it? Because if against Sunderland, it shows from what nearly happened before we scored, is when you're prying so many players forward, you're at risk of conceding at the same time. So I do understand it. But you should be able to say even with the players on the pitch for Pete's team, or the players on the pitch for my team, you should be able to keep that back four like that, boom, and everyone else go, we're at home, let's fucking have it, let's create the opportunities, and let's try and score some goals. Do you know what? If you're 3-0 up and then you want to sit back for 20 minutes, I couldn't care less. But 1-0, the game's still 0-0.
We're 9 unbeaten at the minute. Chelsea 4-1 up away at Southampton. We're 9 unbeaten at the minute, but we've drawn our last 3 games. So now could be the time with 2 back-to-back home games against arguably better sides of the division in Coventry and Sheffield United. Is it time to? So this is the thing. I said this against. We got fucking Burnley coming up, and we got Leeds coming up, and we've done well against both of them. Do you know what I mean? We got fucking 6 points out of it, didn't we? With 1 up front, and with fucking only winning a 10. So if we do that again on Saturday and we get the result, Harris will be going, well, there you go, I fucking told you, didn't I? Yeah. I'm just convinced he's not going to start Langstaff and Ivanovic. And I hope I'm wrong, but I'm just convinced that he's not going to do that on Saturday. He's going to go, it can, and he's going to fucking he's going to go with 1 up front. I think he might put Langstaff in, like I said, but I don't know. I just got a feeling he'll play same again. He'll go Honeyman in a 10, and this Honeyman in a 10. What do you think about Honeyman in a 10, Pete? Is it for you?
I've always stood on the fence with Honeyman. I think he's like the Mad Hatter running around there. I don't know what position he's actually playing. He covers quite a lot of the pitch, left, right, and all that. There's a lot of running around, but to me, I'd actually prefer someone like Mitchell taking over his place than him. Yeah,
Mitchell's back fit now, and again, he's one that people will be very surprised when Billy Mitchell comes back in. But he will do that because Harris goes with what he knows and people he knows that he can rely on down the years.
Yeah,
he will upset a few, but he'll probably do it.
Yeah, I'm not convinced of. I never have been convinced of Honeyman, but he has his good days and bad days. He ain't like most of the Mill players. He ain't consistent. You know what I mean?
He's got 1 goal this season from a 10.
If you dropped him out of the team, I wouldn't miss him. Put it that way.
No,
There's a big argument here, though, isn't there?
At the moment, I'll miss out there was Tanganda, and that's our main player.
There's a big argument, Pete, with Honeyman. There's a big argument with Honeyman, right? Because people go, well, hang on a minute, we've been 9 unbeaten with Honeyman in a 10, right?
Yeah.
However, what they don't realise is that most of the time when we've then gone and scored goals, Honeyman's actually shifted off to one of the wings and Essay's been in the 10. Right? That's like during the game. Do you know what I mean? So when the big times have happened and when we've scored goals, it's actually been Essay that's been drifting into the central, creating stuff, and then we've been scoring goals. But because Honeyman started as a 10, that would be Harris's argument. Well, Honeyman was a 10 in that game.
For me, look, how you doing, Tom? You're right, mate. This is, like things have seemed really fucking obvious, right?
Yeah.
This for me seems so fucking obvious. I can't work out why he just won't do it. Like, again, it might be going back to what you said, Ken. Well, no, fuck you, I'm not doing it because I'm the manager and I'm stubborn and I'll decide what goes on here, not you fucking lot. And I want to give him something to talk about on the fucking den debate. So there you go. I'm going to give him that to fucking argue about. For me, it's so fucking obvious to put Maku on the right, Aziz on the left, and Essay in the 10. And then even though you've got one up front, it makes you so much more attacking with so much more options to get the ball in the box and chances to be created through creative players. Like that is for me even more obvious than a 4-4-2. Yeah. Like, how the fuck is Maku, Aziz, and Essay? Aziz is doing really well now. He's in the side regularly. Essay is having a great season, and Maku is like every time he gets the opportunity, he does something brilliant. He looks dangerous. He looks exciting. He looks like he wants to hurt the opposition. So if he wants to be a little bit more compact and he wants to be a 4-5-1, why not do exactly that there? And then I don't think it matters who you play up front, to be honest with you. I think if you've got them three on the wings and in a 10, I don't think it matters if you play Bradshaw, fucking Langstaff or Ivanovic as a striker.
Yeah. So is everyone going Leonard centre-back as well? Oh, fuck me. Yeah. I'll play him in goal if I had to. I couldn't care less. Like, Leonard can play wherever.
Yeah.
Again, that's another one. Like you always say, Ken, like with Harris, why doesn't Leonard play like before Denor started playing well and Saville really at form again? Why is he not playing? Like, why is he just a right back now and that's it?
Yeah.
Why has this happened? Because we signed him as a box-to-box midfielder, but he just doesn't ever play in midfield, does he? You used to say play him in the 10, Leonard. Because that's what he used to be, didn't he? He used to play like in the R. He's got a cracking great shot on him. But now he just seems to be...
He's so good at right back, isn't he?
I know.
He's covering. He's so far, and the clearances he's done.
Yeah, mate, wingers can't get past him.
You'd miss him. You'd miss him so much.
Yeah,
if you change him around, you just miss him so much. He's so fast. Like in his age, man, he's so fast. And no, you can't. Well, I know we're going to miss him Saturday if he puts him at centre half, but I don't think we've got much of a choice on that, unfortunately.
Fall of duty there says Oxford was the game to try. Is this the thing as well, like getting the opportunity to try these different things? I'm sure that's what training's for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose you can only see so much in training, can't you? But for me, on Saturday, I just to freshen it up. Like it needs. We are 9 unbeaten. Okay, I get that. We have won, I think, 4 and drawn 5 out of our last 9. You know, with a lot of clean sheets, picking up a lot of points, but it does feel like it's going a little bit stale, Pete, don't you think?
100%, yeah, 100%. You know, missing the Portford game, I know because you got called off, and that performance. So it seems like an age ago since we played Sunderland, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? I've got the 1-1 draw, but yeah, it just. I mean, it's only one game, isn't it? Really, since the Sunderland game. So we can't be all doom and gloom about that, really. I mean, Saturday's going to be the big tell how we, how we get on, whether we can continue or not. I know we've not been really good with Coventry at home in the last few years, have we?
I think was we 2-0 down last time against them, 1-3-2, I think. But Steve Tuff says, funny how Leonard was in Millwall Dan's worst 11. Now he is one of them and Masters. That's a bit extravagant.
It's only going to take a matter of time before someone stuck that in the comments. So.
Listen, I never voted him in. But at that point, he was that bad. And by his own admissions, Ryan Ellis said I was fucking terrible when I first turned up. And there was a box-to-box midfielder and he didn't do anything. And I only put him forward for the vote, and people voted him in. But it just shows you how. I always said, right, some of Gary Rowett's best work as our manager was getting the best out of Ryan Ender, because Harris didn't. I didn't think, and Harris signed him. That's the one thing I'll give Rowett a lot of credit for. Mo Salah scored again, 3-2 Liverpool. That's
but he also fucked Billy Mitchell up.
Yeah. And talking about like midfielders and stuff, like what's Daniel Kelly? What's happened to that? What's happened to him? We fucking done everything we could to get him here early, and now he's like, I'm not saying he's going to walk straight into the team.
Put that in the comments earlier. Didn't we pay 400 grand for him?
Well, we paid the money to get him here early, didn't we? And now he's like, he's nowhere around it.
Well, this is the thing, though, Dan, isn't it? Was it Harris that tried to get him, or was it Steve Gallen that tried to get him?
Very true. But listen, regardless of Gallen and Harris, and if they see eye to eye, wink, wink, I quite like what he's done.
Agree. What's that? Someone's just put, if we get a 1-1 draw against Coventry, do you see it as unbeaten in 10 or winless in 4?
That's a fucking very good question. Let's have a look at that. Here we go. Where is it? Oh, we go. John, if we get a 1-1 draw against Coventry, for argument's sake, do you see it as unbeaten in 10 or winless in 4? That's a good question, John. Thank you very much for sending it in. I'm starting to get to the point now where, all right, it is unbeaten in 10. And I was looking at our form guide, and I think our last 6 home games are really good. Our last 5 away games, I think, is drawn 4. And my dad always used to say, win your fucking home games, draw your away games, and you fucking get promoted.
Yeah.
But I do, John, think, it's getting to that point now, especially with Sheffield United coming up midweek at the Den. This is a game for me. I mean, look, Frank Lampard's the new manager of Coventry. That doesn't bother me at all. I think he's, along with Steven Gerrard, 2 of the greatest players of our generation, but 2 of the worst managers, and Rooney. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how you can be so good at football, be such a bad manager. I was for Sheffield United, if we want to keep on track and do the things we've been doing and want to still stand behind Neil Harris, for me, we need 4 points at these 2 games. So another draw will be a little bit. No, I would start to look at that as definitely as points dropped. But it just proves how important the fucking Oxford game was to get that over the line, wasn't it? It was ours to lose, and you can understand Stoke a bit more from our previous away game, because it was a good battle, it was a good game, it was a good side, they was physical, weren't they? The Oxford game, I mean, I'm with you boys, they were so fucking bad, Oxford.
Yeah. And was it last season we lost all to the bottom teams as well, didn't we?
I mean, they're all sitting there scratching their heads.
Who was bottom of the league beat us? No, bottom of the league.
Cardiff.
No, it wasn't Cardiff. There was another one last season. They went down bottom of the league and they beat us. Oh, was it Rotherham, wasn't it? Rotherham.
Huddersfield as well, wasn't it?
And Huddersfield.
And Huddersfield.
I was at both games. It was like 2 games in 4 days, wasn't it?
I'm never going back to Huddersfield, ever.
That's when we knew we was going down.
I said that the first time, that I'm not going back, and I fucking did. Steve saying, the man of reason, of course, the voice of reason, that form over 46 games is 86 points.
Is it really?
Like, do you know what it is? We've had that really good run where we had sort of 4 straight 1-0 wins, wasn't it? And it was Super Neil, fucking Neil were doing this under Neil Harris. No one's got more points than him other than Leeds. And now 3 draws in a row, frustrating draws as well. Sunderland, I felt, was unlucky, but Oxford. Look, if we had beat Oxford, we'll be sitting here probably with a completely different mindset, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? It's cracks. I think that's all it is. Is that when you watch games like that, you see a couple of cracks, and then that's what you get worried about, you know. And then you start diving into it a little bit more, and you go, it's not the fact that, you know. And I know people are going to constantly go, well, we're 9 unbeaten. We're 9. Look at the points we're getting. Look at what we could be getting by the end of the season. But you could also look at it and go, all right, well, we're winless now in 4. We got a sucker punch against Oxford, right? And if Coventry doesn't go right either, then them cracks are just getting bigger and bigger. And all we're looking for is to go, Harris, you came here and said you was going to fucking have it. Right, well, at Oxford, you didn't. Yeah, at Sunderland, you gave us 10 minutes of having it and we loved it. Right? Yeah. And then we went to Oxford afterwards and you didn't want to know. If then we go to Coventry and we play like we don't want to know either, we're looking at them cracks going, Mate, just
it's all a little bit like he's got to practice what he preaches. It's all a little bit too reserved.
Yeah,
at the minute.
I think so. You know, and you've got to bear in mind that we spent 3-4 years of Rowett like that. You know, that was a Rowett game on Saturday.
It was. It very much was. Yeah, I agree.
You know, and that's why people are going to get frustrated because we've had 3-4 years of that.
And now we've got.
Go on, mate. Sorry.
We've got Coventry at home, Sheffield United at home. Oh, fuck off! Newcastle have equalised 3-3.
This is going to be one of 4 free games, isn't it?
I hope it's 4-3 Liverpool because I've got Liverpool to win. I've got who else have I got? Chelsea to win. They're 4-1 up, and I've got Arsenal, Man United draw. And that's currently 0-0. But yeah, fucking looks like Newcastle going to get a point there because that's late on. They've just scored 90 minutes. Oh yeah, fuck me, that is done, isn't it?
Is that a Newcastle?
Looks like a good. Chelsea are 5-1 up now. Fucking hell.
Who's Everton playing then?
Everton are 4-0 up at home to Wolves.
Oh,
yeah. All right, boys. So what are we expecting from Saturday? Before we wrap it up.
It's bipolar Millwall for me again, Dan. But maybe I'm worried about our defence, to be fair. If Tanganga was playing, I'd definitely go for a win. But if Cooper was playing as well, I'd definitely go for a win. But the way with the defence at the moment, I think we're going to concede a couple of goals. So I think we might be lucky if we hold on for a draw. But yeah, we're not. I don't think we're get a result Saturday solely because of the defence.
Ken,
I'm the complete opposite of Pete there. I'm not worried about the defence. I'm completely worried about what we're gonna do up top. I think that although people like Murray Wallace and Harding and stuff, they haven't had much game time. They're not the greatest of defenders. I think that they could do a good enough job for us. We are considerably weaker though, like Pete said, without Tanganga and Cooper.
And Hutchinson either.
Yeah. However, if we can get that right up top, not even up top, the wings and the strikers and the 10, and we can get all that right, I'll be honest, I ain't worried about no team.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Sheffield United the other night. I weren't overly impressed with them either, to be fair. They ain't no Leeds. Leeds is by far the best team we're going to play this season. The rest of them, on our day, we can beat anyone. I know we beat the league, but Sheffield United, I'm not really fussed. Especially if Harris was to, go with the 2 up front and have a go at them, they will fold.
Yeah.
They will fold. But you've got to be brave. Sometimes you've got to be brave.
We have got to be brave.
Attackers on there. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? Despite all this we've all discussed tonight, despite the worries at the back and what we should do up front, do you know what I think will happen Saturday? I think he'll play Langstaff up front or Bradshaw. I think he'll play Honeyman in a 10, and I think we'll win 1-0. And then he'll go, it's the fucking problem. I can just see it fucking happening.
1-0 to the Millwall boys.
1-0.
Yeah.
What's the problem? I'll pick this team. I know what's best for this football club. Now you're all fucking singing Super Nil again.
First of all, I've got to say thank you to the fans. Thank you for the fans. Yeah.
He'd be like that, wouldn't he? Fuck off. Fuck you.
Thank you, fans. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just a bit worried about defence, mate. So.
Sometimes I can't. I'm like, it can't continue. We can't surely go and beat Coventry playing Honeyman in a 10 and one striker. We'll fucking go and do it. We'll go and win 1-0 Saturday. I'll tell you, we'll win 1-0 Saturday. And he'll go.
I think it's Frank Lampard's first ever visit to the Den, isn't it? In a manager and a player.
They played against Derby, wasn't it?
I don't think it was Derby. I don't think
he was managing in. It was during lockdown, I know that. But
I don't think it was.
He's got Joe Edwards, hasn't he, as his assistant?
Would you reckon he'll get a bit of a bad reception, Joe Edwards?
Nah, I think it'll all be focused on them part, to be honest.
Yeah.
You going Saturday, Ken?
See how the missus is.
Well, I might have a space in the box if Henry might be working. So it's yours if you want it, mate.
Oh, mate, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
All right, chaps, enjoyed that. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
No problem, Dan.
John, just imagine it, 2-0 Bradshaw and Honeyman.
I don't think I'm ever coming on the podcast ever again.
We'll be like that. No wonder they only do these fucking podcasts once every 2 months. They use.
I think I'll have a bet on that, Dan. 2-0 Bradshaw and Honeyman, yeah? I'll have a score on that.
He'll play Honeyman in the 10. He'll play Bradshaw up front, right? Or one striker, and it'll be Langstaff, and we're going to win the game 1-0. And so listen, cancel that fucking debate, boys. Come up for something else.
Bradshaw's get an hat-trick.
We'll feed the Bradshaw, he'll score, mate. Chase him moving the corner flags, he's not going to score.
Harris will be knocking on our doors.
He'll be trying to get in. He'll be in the waiting room down here trying to get in down the bottom on the fucking thing.
Well, I want 3 points to my birthday tomorrow. 63.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Happy birthday tomorrow.
63, mate. Jesus Christ.
63.
Is over 55 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're only 42, really.
You're as old as you feel, Dan, aren't you? You know what I mean? So
don't look a day over 36, Pete.
Cheers, mate. I'll give you some money tomorrow, yeah?
Right, thanks for watching, everyone. I'm going to wrap the show just because I said at the top of the show, but if you are late to the party, thoughts today are with a Millwall legend, John Docherty, sadly passed away today, 84 years old. The first and only manager in the history of our football club to take us to the top flight. And we live in hope that it might one day happen again. Summer 3 points against Coventry on Saturday. Please subscribe to Lions TV.
Come on, you Lions.
Lions.
Move.